Shout out to G-Man Boxing.
Alright people, so more heavyweight news. Before we get into more heavyweight news, thanks to everyone who joined me in LA last night, our little chat together. It was tremendously good fun. We had a great turnout, thanks for that. Also, 8:30 this evening, live watch along, Chris Eubank Jr., Liam Smith, we're getting on 8:30. I want to try and cover the Parker fight as a separate video, so that's why we're probably going to go on a bit later, maybe 8:30, whenever. Just want to do that video separate, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you there. 8:30 live watch along Smith Eubank. It's going to be great fun. In terms of heavyweight news that's been coming out, as I said yesterday, there's a lot of news coming out. Hearn obviously was interviewed with Boxing Social. He said basically that Joshua's opponent will be announced next week. I'm expecting Jermaine Franklin. I think the majority of us are, because I can't really see who else you'd get apart from him. So that's who we're kind of expecting for that. But he also mentioned Dillian Whyte, and it's looking very likely that Dillian Whyte versus Otto is seemingly a done deal by the looks of things for sometime in April. So April again, shape up to be a good month, possibly undisputed that month, possibly. Although I don't, maybe probably May realistically. Hopefully it just happens this side of the year, not in the latter stage. But we're looking likely to get AJ out in April. Obviously Joyce versus Zhang for April 15th, which will then lead into, on the same day, Tank Davis versus Garcia. So that's going to be the energy drinks at the ready kind of night, if you know what I mean. You're gonna be busy. I'll be busy that night, 100% watching these fights. So a lot of good news going on. But Dillian Whyte, Otto being talked about as well for April. Obviously, we were meant to actually get that fight in October 2021. That was just what it was after. Obviously, Dillian Whyte beat Povetkin in the rematch. He was mandatory for the WBC, which was held by Tyson Fury at the time. And obviously, he wanted to get this fight in, wanted to get an interim fight in. Apparently, he said he had a shoulder injury, which is why he pulled out of the fight, which I found dubious. Let's just say that. And then obviously he didn't fight him, went straight into the Fury fight. We know what happened there. So they're looking to get this fight done in April. Now, me personally, okay, if I was sat and I was chatting to Eddie Hearn now, say as an advisor or something like that, I'm just saying, I'm not doing that, but if I was, I'd be turning around and saying, how much do you really want AJ versus Whyte? If it's a case of you're happy whoever, whether it be Whyte or Dillian, then that's fine. That's fine. But if you really want it to be Whyte versus Dillian, I might not take this fight if I were you, or try and get this fight made. Because although out of Dillian, a lot of people feel I think with Dillian, right, when he was announced as the opponent for Tyson Fury back in 2019, September 2019, I was like many others, and I was like, who the hell is this guy? I'd heard the name briefly mentioned out of Dillian prior to that, but I never really heard much about him in terms of, you know, being anything to write home about. So I kind of just was like, oh, he's probably going to be a fairly straightforward win for Fury. And it wasn't. It was a tough fight. He was cut. And, you know, he won it clearly, but he had some very tough moments in there. Dillian showed that he's not a Tom Schwartz. And since then, he's not really set the world alight. I think that's fair to say. You know, he's had wins over Dominic Brazil, Kamil Sakalowski, and now the Sakalowski fight, to be fair, he took it on 8 days' notice and was a lot heavier than we're used to seeing him. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. You're not going to look at your best if you've probably just jumped in on a couple of days' notice, not really in shape. You're not going to look your best. So that one I'll let him have a pass on that one, no problem. In terms of him against Whyte, obviously he was keen to fight him back in October. And there was talk of him potentially being AJ's comeback opponent, but that seems to be nipped in the bud now for the time being. So him against Whyte would be an interesting one. I think Dillian Whyte looks so vulnerable, so shaky now, that a lot of fighters, if they didn't already fancy their chances, I'm sure Wallin would have fancied his chances in 2021, but if he didn't already fancy his chances then, he's going to look at Dillian Whyte and think, oh man, I really fancy this now. Because against Franklin, he was hurt in the 9th round, and that was late in the round as well, so God only knows what might have happened. If that was a minute into the round, God knows what might have happened. Dillian Whyte just doesn't look himself lately, you know. And again, me and Ade were talking about it, and I said the Povetkin performance, the rematch, was good. And Ade pointed out correctly that, was it really that good? Or was it just that Povetkin was just finished? And realistically, you could say, actually, do you know what, to be fair, like, Povetkin was finished in the first fight, much less the second fight. So, I understand that. And then, against Rivas, looked good at times, but was dropped and did have a few shaky moments. Against Chisora, which was 4 years ago, is really the last decent performance we've seen of Dillian Whyte. And if you had your last decent performance 4 years ago, and you've been reasonably active since then, but you've not looked as good, that's normally an indication that it's not going to get any better, put it like that. I don't trust his chin. I think his speed definitely doesn't look this. He's never the fastest heavyweight in the world, but he looks a little bit slower now. He just doesn't look like the Dillian Whyte of old. And of course, you can expect that. He's been in some very tough fights over the years. So you're going to expect that, but personally, I think he's there for the taking. Him against Dillian, I mean, I could see that being a banana skin. Again, if Eddie Hearn is looking and thinking, do you know what, if it's Joshua versus Dillian, I'd rather it be Dillian Whyte versus Joshua, because I'm sure Eddie Hearn is thinking it's probably a bigger fight, a stadium fight. But if he probably doesn't really care as long as he can get either one of them in, then yeah, I would say, right, fine. If you don't care who wins and they're going to fight Joshua regardless, yeah, go on, just chuck him on. But if you're adamant you want it to be Whyte, this is a banana skin. 100% it's a banana skin. I would probably edge for Whyte to win, probably. But look, Dillian is better than a lot of people give him credit for. And I've no great like for Otto Dillian, but I have to be objective on here. I think that he is a lot better than a lot of people give him credit for. He hasn't looked amazing over the last couple of fights, but I think that when push comes to shove, he'll rise to the occasion. I really do. And he's tricky. He's tricky. He's a southpaw. When's the last time Dillian Whyte fought a southpaw? Povetkin's not a southpaw. Obviously, he came out southpaw against Fury, but Fury primarily fought orthodox in that fight. Chisora's not a southpaw. Rivas isn't a southpaw. Nor is Parra. When's the last time he actually did fight a southpaw? Just think of the top of my head. It's been... I can't think of time he's fought a southpaw, realistically. So that could be a venture into the unknown for Dillian Whyte. So, I mean, let's see. Let's see how it goes. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otto Dillian versus Dillian Whyte. Do you think that Dillian Whyte even now should still have enough in the tank just to get by Otto Dillian? Maybe not look spectacular, but get by anyway. Or do you think that this is a banana skin and you wouldn't be surprised to see AJ versus Dillian in the summer as opposed to see AJ versus Whyte? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button, of course, as always, if you haven't already. We're less than 100 subs off 10k, lads. That's why I'm saying plug in the watch along tonight. Plug in that goddamn live watch along. If it goes well, I mean, we could potentially do it this weekend. Imagine that. If we did, man, I would be... Oh, man, I'd be a happy G. I'd be a happy G. I'll just leave it at that. Hopefully we can. Hopefully we can. We're less than 100 subs, man. We're 96 subs off 10k. Let's do it. Let's try and do it this weekend, man. Man, I'm feeling happy about that. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Smash the like button if you can. If you can, well, definitely you can. It's there. It's there to be liked. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'll talk to you people. Peace.